Space Vessel Justice. This week on this space vessel, thank you for traveling with me. I want to mention he was 80. He was 80. No, I'm not talking about his age. I don't know what his age happened to be, but he was walking across my path and he had on this jersey that said 80. Now, 80 can mean age. 80 can also mean a certain formal, metaphysical look at things. You know, with the number 8, as we talked about with infinity, we mentioned how it can be wealth and abundance as well. However, as he went across my path, I saw that the wealth and abundance of this older gentleman, I don't want to call him elderly. The beard just betrayed something. It was scruffy. His clothing was also, unkempt. And yet, he still had some strength about himself, even though you can tell life had really hit him. And wealth and abundance was just not, portraying itself at this time in this man's life. And yet, he was 80. Did this man deserve dignity no matter how unkempt his clothing was, how scruffy his beard was, and yet he wore that jersey 80 with pride? What do you think? Thank you for being with me on the Spaceship Justice. Remember, justice is not only peace. Justice is not only fighting criminals, but really justice is giving just due to whatever the situation is that bring balance and fairness. Yes. Have a wonderful day. Developed, created, and owned by James Artistry Productions. Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Artistry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Artistry creative productions and work. See also jamesartistry.online. Sometimes you are familiar with the aspects of the game, but you don't know the players. Hi, Perceptive Reader. This is James Lynch, and you can look at this as a consultant moment. Yet, this is on a very serious level. I've been meditating on what I wanted to talk about today, and I had several different subjects that I was going to talk about. But the thought still went through my mind and was going through my mind even last night. That sometimes I'll make this podcast for persons who are over 80, and I actually think about a different background of some of the persons who are over 80, because the subject that I'm actually going to talk about today, I tried to prepare your mind, because I know some persons, because of their background, the way they were raised and their disciplines, went into so many other areas of what I would just call productivity and even just spiritual edification, that this side of matters would be something that they wouldn't have even probably thought about, some of them, not to this level of what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm talking about it as well. You see, different certain people at times, and even recently, people talk about all the time some of the dreams that they have, whether it's because of many of the activities that happened the day before that caused them to form these type of dreams, or whether it was something that they actually read, even on the spiritual level. And then there are actually other ways of being influenced, as we know, like people like Daniel in the Bible and others, that the spirit realm can affect their mind in such a way. And we know that even God uses form, any type of form, even subconscious type of form, to influence us, even with His Holy Spirit, which still even produce dreams at times. Now, with that being said, uh, this subject is interesting because of the fact, and like I said, I've tried to prepare your mind for over the past week or so, 2 weeks or so. If you look at the JamesPaulArtistry.online website, where you see the psychology of the magician and the psychology of the wise man, and it's interesting because those types of arts, especially on the psychology of the magician, you will find persons gain this knowledge, even sometimes directly from the devil, because they were so really bored with the mundane knowledge of life. And they actually wanted to understand why even the devil is able to implement the magics and stuff that he does in the physical realm. You see, sometimes a person might look at it's because he's a spirit being as to the reason why he's able to do such things. And yet these persons come to find out that magic is real. See, whether it's a spiritual being or whether it's a human being as well, using these same type of methods or processes. I'm not going to get into incantations or anything of that nature. What I do want to mention is there's this person, and I'm not going to make light of the knowledge. And I know I keep saying Light instead of Lite, but you're probably realizing as well, it's a reason why I say Light. Now, with that being said, this person was talking about, on dreams that they've had and things of that nature. And they were on such a serious level, very serious. I mean, it gets into the most demonic of demonic as far as stolen innocence, okay, from children, okay? Now, the thing about it is, this person was just talking about, how there are other people on this earth at times that have really taken, their view of God in a very serious matter, between them in their relationship. And persons will notice that at times, and they will make it their aim that they will follow them around more. It's more than just gang stalking. It's a hidden behind the scenes type of devastation that they're constantly trying to do on people's lives. And see, and this is a side note. I want to remind you, this is why I emphasize communication, due process, no matter how something look like, because these persons normally have such an amount of resources and wealth. Oh, they can make the innocent look guilty. And the only way you'll be able to get through it is if you're patient enough to do the due process, so that, okay, no, there's a benefit of the doubt here. And I'm telling you, no matter how small or minute that benefit of doubt looks to persons, that can actually be the seed, if you will, seed that will continue. And now I want to use another illustration that I saw a person use today, to grow. And with God shedding light on the matter, see, even a light, even a candle, you see what I'm saying? God can make everything illuminate into a room. And so, with that being said, that's why I want to emphasize this is why we continue to say, no, I'm not going to go according to just hearsay. You know, if I have to address this matter, I'm going to address it in the way that even Jesus said to address it. You see, it may take time, but that's the way you resolve problems. Otherwise, like I told you, just have a bunch of innocent people being destroyed. And this is something that just as a side note too, that I'll let some persons are over 80 who probably don't even know about this situation. There's actually been situations at times where huge groups of people or a congregation, if you will, hundreds, you see, um, would be getting along fine. And then you will have a person hidden, though, you have a person come into that type of arrangement, that type of congregation, and would be so sly and so slick. See, and this is what some of this stuff that I'm still referencing from what the woman was telling in her dream about how this one person was really looking like they were one way and they weren't. Okay. And the thing about it is, apparently this person even had ill intentions towards their own children. See, this is what I mean when I tell you it depends on what role you are in life, because there's some roles you can actually have been in your life. And since now you no longer have that role of responsibility, then you don't really think much about it until sometimes later it comes right back up where there's a scenario that comes apart that reminds you of that role that you had and that responsibility. And I'm telling you this because this person once again felt like after they were relating everything they thought about this situation or that situation, they more reference of that they hoped that they didn't sound like this was totally out of this world or that they were kind of crazy or what have you. Well, I'm here to tell you today, seeing the consulting moment, what you just described is not as rare as you may have maybe intimated or said that that it seemed to be, because maybe this is the first time you've heard of situations like this coming through your dream. And I'm here to tell you right now today that there are more situations like this than I care to even relate. And I told you these situations really get out of hand when you have persons that go hook, line, and sinker along with that type of hidden demonic spirit behind this person with this smile, and behind this person that is actually holding any holy scrolls, holy book, or even holy Bible. See, it doesn't matter what they may be holding. And see, and this can even apply to the Constitution scrolls of the land. Inside, the person, the individual is very still devious. And I told you, those type of people, boy, they get into authority and they continue to show they willing to do anything practically to keep their light, to keep the light from shining on just how evil they really are behind that smile. So, with that being said, see, there's a point of encouragement that I want to tell you about, because some of these persons, as you know, who relate their dreams, I told you there's a lot of people. How many of you remember me said that, you come to find out at times you meet people and they're either spiritual, they're either spiritistic, or they're both. And I told you there's a lot of individuals who really are both. And it just takes other, aspects of reading and prayer and God's word, the Bible, to bring us at least in alignment where God in heaven then is saying, okay, we got you straightened up now. We got you clear. You're aware of this and you're aware of this, but see, I got you in this area or what have you now. See, and this is what I want to tell you. Because this person was actually mentioning how, yeah, sometimes persons can come under that heavy, burdensome yoke of this evil in heart, individual, authority figure, or what have you. You see, can come up under that. And yet at the same time, see, they can start feeling like there is no hope for me. I have to just go along with what I have to go along with. And see, and I'm here to tell you today that I told you. See, God, Jehovah God, and Jesus in heaven is aware of those type of persons. They certainly are. See, and that's why I don't never like to make light of sometimes people know that this individual is doing this over there and doing it and already say, yeah, that person going to hell or this and that. And the thing about it is I'm here to tell you again today as a reminder that isn't necessarily true the case. It just isn't. And I'm going to tell you something else about sometimes persons may already resolve in their mind that, my deliverance, I guess, it just come either through me falling asleep in death or in the last days, Jesus come riding in on a white horse. But they don't see no way or any difference of doing anything else until that. Now, such an individual at times, with everything that they know, and see, that's why I told you some things are just not that simple, like people who may not be aware of this. And that's why I just said this for the ones over 80 who going to probably, have a cup of coffee with you or what have you, is this. They will do something. Yes, even with the arts. They will do something. And the same way, remember when Jesus was walking through a crowd? And what did one woman do that caused her to be healed of something that was with her for years? This one, in case of talking about, she had a flow of blood or what have you. For years. And yet, when she touched Jesus' garments, now he was all pressing on the crowd. He was already being pressed in. And what did he say? Who touched me? Why did Jesus say that? Well, one, he felt power go out of him. And then notice too, what did the woman feel? She felt power going into her from him. And before I go further, let me ask you this question. Do you think that same woman that Jesus healed in that way, do you think she is in heaven today? I think we can probably very confidently, 101% say, oh yeah, you can believe that. There was other examples that Jesus dealt with women with certain occupations that were frowned upon, that Jesus hung out with dinner and things of that nature. And I say again, those persons who he hung out with, do you think a good number of them are in heaven to this day? You see, remembering that mercy that Jesus took upon them. But this way, I think most likely you can be confident again. And so what I'm going to tell you is sometimes there are still connections that are still made on such a level, and it turns into like a salvation, so to speak, that other persons may not even really be aware about, because you know something, it is actually something that's still implemented or protected, if you will. I want to use that word protected as well, by God, even in heaven, so that that person will still feel that the God in heaven saying, I still got you. I still got you. And even though a person may feel in a certain type of bondage in this way or that way for right now, it doesn't mean that already, just like the book of Judges that we've been reading, that he has certain individuals that he is using or is going to use that's going to help resolve that situation. And one thing that I still want to really emphasize is God, he can use anything or anyone to do it. And sometimes he will even use the individual that, as we see from the Bible, that was treated so bad by the system, if you will, that, I like how one person was saying, how one rapper even said that he didn't really like how people would do real bad things to him in business and then want to always say it's not personal. He was saying, look, this has affected not only me, but this has affected my family. And he could go on and say other stuff. Don't you tell me it's not personal. Don't you tell me this isn't about you. And because in one sense, I want to emphasize this. That's again what I call adding insult to injury, lessening it, because why? All too often, people keep looking at it, always got to be a whole big group of people in order for God to act on something, and not because of even an individual that was treated so wrongly, so badly, just as well. So that's all I'm going to say. Keep doing the best that you can. Know that in some of these cases, the person is very much aware of the type of connection that was placed, even though others wouldn't even understand it or comprehend it. And know this as well, that sometimes when persons have done it, whether it was in faith or just like that woman who was in desperation, in a sense, God knows it. And you know what? God saves. Take care.